very, very warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 17th Annual Trialogue Business in Society Conference.
The impact of this conference will be felt by the efforts and the work of all of you, our delegates and our sponsors.
It's when business realizes that we need to continue to do well by doing good.
Yeah.
Because business is not our second chance, it's our last chance. But business itself needs to be steered back, because what is needed is bold, incisive leadership. Imagine if business was a trusted advisor, to be a partner of choice, to do everything in its power to make sure that this ANC-led government currently becomes a capable state.
So across South Africa, Vodacom connects about 2,500 schools with internet, and that number continues to grow. But within that ecosystem, what we have is schools of excellence. And the schools of excellence are really schools where we equip that school with a computer center, with tablets, with devices, with connectivity, and basically the children are able to engage in lessons, coding, robotics, and so forth in that education curriculum to really build on their digital skills. And
lots of corporate giving needs to examine the phenomenon of vanity projects. We don't have the resources to do vanity projects. We have to take the bull by the hands and say, what am I going to learn from this approach that will assist all of my connecting, collaborating partners and government to address inequality, efficiencies, and poor quality?
Traditionally, we used to just provide connectivity in schools. But over time, we realized that that was not sufficient. It was not impactful. It was about numbers. We'll be counting. We've connected so much number of schools in a year. But then when you go back, you find that the devices have grown legs and there is no accountability. Nobody tells you what happened with those devices. So we introduced this comprehensive approach to ensure that there is better educational outcome, but there is digital literacy.
The availability of these resources and learners having access to extra resources that supports education, that supports teaching and learning. It actually helps them in terms of quality of results.
Partnership is often tied into legal contracts, whereas collaboration, which works better for development, those who come together will have to first have a common vision, not a multiplicity of visions and interests. What is the common vision that you are working toward? And secondly, co-creation.
We have to acknowledge that education in this country is a wicked problem. The issues that we're dealing with are, quite complex and intractable. And when we do have wicked problems to tackle, we have to have a multiplicity of solutions.
What does our social change agenda mean and look like? Because as an organization, we found a space where we saw that not many organizations are investing to drive social change. And that space for us was entrepreneurship. Because we cannot raise young people that are job seekers. Why don't we start raising young people that are job creators?
So Europe has been doing high school and primary entrepreneurship education for 20-25 years. We do it badly. By the time people get to varsity, it's too late. So I think high school is good enough to get people to pick up skills they're going to need to create ventures, not pick up skills for jobs.
We would like to invest in entrepreneurship education in high school.
We're at an inflection point of a wave of technology that's as big as, the desktop computer. From the area of being analog to moving into digital, generative AI is going to have the same impact on us, and the ability to embrace technology, no matter what area of entrepreneurship you're operating in, is critical.
We understand that we operate in an environment where there's financial constraints, but what can entrepreneurs do differently or do better in order to really attract the mentorship opportunities, the funding opportunities, and make themselves attractive to potential sponsors?
I think first thing they should do is to be out there talk about their business, their ideas without shame.
These days we realize that you can't survive with just one job. And a phenomenon that we are seeing in our country is that there's so many side hustles that are starting to mushroom.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes my job for today. I will see you bright and early tomorrow at 8:30. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day 2 of the Business in Society Conference 2024.
Strategic takes you out of the vanity projects, out of that space completely, and says you've got to be in a project, you've got to look at the developmental outcomes over a period of time, so you've got to be more focused. You've got to put M&E processes in place to understand the developmental impact. So you're strategic on the developmental front, and then you've got to think how the business can leverage that, but also the benefits that flow back to the business.
And that's where the strategic CSI came together to say, how do we create shared value from what your needs are and what our needs are, and making sure that you are sustainable so we remain sustainable.
Yeah.
And while we're sustainable, you continue to be sustainable. So that's really the premise of the program.
South Africa fares very well ahead of other countries, especially when you track the engagement, especially with SDGs. And I'm sure that you saw that from last year's report. It shows that corporates here in South Africa are engaging more with SDGs than with the NDP, which is a fascinating trend to actually watch this year going forward.
In your corporate environment, live the values of the Constitution and protect the human rights of the people that you work with. Develop a respect for others and uphold the dignity of others. And I think it's very important, because as that happens, people feel as if their voices are being heard, and the sense of despondency is going to be dealt with in some way by doing that.
At First Rand, we believe large systemic financial institutions like ourselves are uniquely placed to unlock and enable inclusive economic activity and positive societal impact.
True agricultural transformations begin with soil. Let us make sure that we husband it, and it will grow our food, our shelter, and our fuel. And on top of that, it will give us a bonus added benefit of surrounding us with beauty.
Food security is more than agricultural production.
Right.
It's about, do our people on a daily basis, particularly those in poor and vulnerable areas, get access to sufficient food and sufficient nutritious food on a regular and sustainable basis? And the answer is they don't. We have a national crisis. 1 in 4 children are malnourished in our country.
It's still a challenge that our emerging farmers, the capital is still a challenge.
Yeah.
And also a land and the space where they are, it's a challenge. That's why we're making sure we buy good quality goats, and we are supporting them from day one.
We have to get young people to be interested in, contributing towards the sustainability of Africa as a whole. So agriculture has to be made much more attractive. I think the use of technology is something that will always capture the imagination of young people.
Let's make farming fashionable, especially to the young people.
We believe that by unlocking the potential of our youth through skills and support, we can create a brighter future for them, and we as well can take part in making sure that our economy thrives. It is difficult for one company to solve all these issues alone. So we must be deliberate and authentic in working with like-minded partners.
We always say we need more money. Well, we kind of need more money spent on the right things. So this number is the amount that South Africa, public, private, both, spend on post-school education and training every year. Our problem is not the money. Our problem is the way we are, our funnel, the conversion rate and the completion rate of our young people.
it is true that when you start talking about, the skills of the future, it can be seen as a challenge. So what we do is to have open conversations at all times, to try and show them that there are new opportunities that can be derived from that, to try and bring about innovation that comes with skilling people with the future skills.
Everybody has their own mandates. When you're in a partnership, you have to bring people on the journey with you. It's not only about your own operational capability, execution, and actually influencing where you do not control is harder, right? It's learning to co-create with people, and that's why I say that shared objectives and values alignment is critical.
Why partnership is important is reach and networks. Government knows we can't do this alone. We don't have the money for it. But more importantly, or as important, we do not have the reach. We do not have the networks. So partnering with the likes of private sector, with the likes of social networks and so forth, so that we actually have access to the young people in the areas that we need to address.
So we feel this learners to go into a learnership for 12 months is not enough. Hence, we need to prolong at least 2 years. Can give a prospective employer the confidence that there is a lot of matter in this particular young person.
In 2020, when COVID happened, corporate South Africa, the mindset changed. Not the CSI. The CEO and the MDs of companies started calling, and they said, forget the media coverage, don't worry about tax certificate, just tell us what you need and how much do you need. We need to save our people and we need to save our country. That sentiment has been running for 4 years now.